Good morning again. Almost good afternoon. It's the next day here, so March 12th, and I'm headed back over to finish disassembly of this motor. Yesterday, actually I guess it's 2 days later now, but anyways, yesterday I had a couple hours between my jobs that I had to do to stop over there and work a little extra on that piston. I didn't have my video camera with me, but I'll show you when we get there what we had to do. But we did get it out finally. We got the piston out, so that's good. It didn't come out with the sleeve, but getting the piston out was the main part. So we still got 3 sleeves left to pull, but that is it. Other than the crankshaft pulley, the crankshaft, and the camshaft. So we're making progress. I did measure the crankshaft rod bearing kernels yesterday, and they didn't measure correctly, or I misread the micrometer, because I came out 10 thousandths oversized on the crankshaft approximately. So I'm gonna pull the crankshaft today, or at least try my best to get it out of there, and then I'm just gonna take it home with me along with the pistons, because I need to measure the connecting rod wrist pins to make sure that they are correct. So that's the plan of attack. Hopefully I can get this block completely disassembled, that way I can bring it to the machine shop to have it boiled along with the head that's already there. So that's what the plan is. Other than that, I had a couple people that wanted me to record me actually doing the whatever work that I'm doing, and I haven't quite figured out how to do time lapse on my video editing system. I don't know if I can. I just have Microsoft Windows Movie Maker, but I'll give it a shot and I'll show you. I'll kind of give you a run through of how I got that piston out. Basically all it took was a bigger hammer, but I'll show you the tools I used to get all of them out when we get over there, and we'll go from there. Alright? Well, we're in the shop, and I'm just going to show you kind of what I had to do. Well, first, let me show you. My buddy here has a habit of collecting motors. He's got, I think, one of these is a big block and the other 2 are small block Chevys. But he gets stuff for free, and he tends to hang on to it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But sometimes you just gotta wonder, when is enough enough? Anyways, I got all the pistons out, so here we are, all the way across, and then the number 4 liner came out with the number 4 piston. Number 1 started to come out just barely, but the other 2 are well and good in there. But here's the pistons here. They are a 4-inch overbore piston, and they're in pretty good shape. I mean, they were rusty, but definitely stuck, obviously. And the caps, the rod bearing inserts, are 2 thousandths under size. or oversized, I guess, depending on how you want to word it. So this is the number 1 piston. So as you can see, it took a little bit of a beating to get it out, but here's what's left of the top side here. Not much, but I got them out nonetheless. I did get number 4 out of the sleeve here. I had to pound it on the concrete to get it out. Just, took it with the rod and hit it upside down, over and over until the piston was flush with the top. And then I had to hit the machine lip on a solid surface to get it out the top the rest of the way. I probably could have just cut it with a die grinder or angle grinder with a cutoff wheel and done it that way, but I wanted to at least try and salvage the remaining pistons. Worst case scenario is, they look cool sitting on my workbench, But essentially what I did to get 2 through 4 out was, I'll show you here. I have a jack handle rod. It's a solid steel rod. Probably, I don't know, 5/8 rod. 3/4, 5/8, somewhere in there. But I just took and I placed the rod right on the wrist pin area of the piston, and then I used a 3-pound maul. I'd give it 3 or 4 whacks on this side, then I'd go on the other side, give it 3 or 4 whacks, and that 3-pound maul, going back and forth, was enough to drive them out on 2, 3, and 4. But on number 1, it would not budge. I got about an 1/8 inch of movement out of it, and you can see I was starting to bust away the area around the wrist pin, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it wasn't moving. So afterwards, after I went home and thought about it and got some input from the people on Yesterday's Tractors and the Facebook Farmall M&H fan page, most of the guys just said, well, just use a bigger hammer. So I did. I went and got, my buddy has a, I think it's a 20-pound sledge. I don't know where it's hiding, but it's around here. It's just a big sledge. And I tried giving it some wax on the connecting or the wrist pin area here, but that wasn't working because I couldn't really hold it by myself on there. But I couldn't really hold this rod, and hold the sledgehammer at the same time. So what I did was I was able to wedge it down inside here between the connecting rod and the piston and push on the back side of the head of the piston. So all it took was 2 whacks and the top of that piston came right off, because these are aluminum pistons. And after that, it just dropped right out. So it took, all that pounding and swearing and that to get it off. But 2 whacks with a big sledgehammer, and it came right off. Go figure. So that's how I got them out. I still got to get, those 2, 3, and 4 sleeves out, but I'll see if the machine shop's got a sleeve puller. Maybe they'll let me borrow it. Otherwise, I'll just, have them do it. But plan of attack today, because this set screw in the crank, I don't have an impact screwdriver. So because I can't get that out, I'm just going to take my cutoff wheel. I've already got the nut loose. It's a 2.5 inch nut. I used a pipe wrench to break it loose. It did put some teeth marks in here, but I'll just hit it with a file, or I'll use my bench grinder and just clean it up, and I'll get a 2.5 inch socket later. But Anyways, I'm just going to cut off the crankshaft hand crank pin with my cutoff wheel, and then I'll replace it later once I get the shaft out here and get good measurements on it. But that's the plan of attack. So I'll get my grinder and everything set up, and then I'll let you watch me do that. So, all right, stay tuned. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing cut off here. There's one side. And we'll just get the other side here and that'll be done. That's all there is to it. So we'll go ahead and get the 3-jaw puller hooked up and we'll show that part. Alright, we've got it hooked up. Now, my puller isn't large enough to fit onto the back of this pulley. At least not from what I've gathered. But we'll try and pull it from the front side of this lip. I really don't want to do it that way, but we'll give it a shot. Hopefully this pulley will just pop right off, because I've been soaking it for a few days with PV Blaster, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, I gotta put a block of wood in the crankshaft here to keep it from turning. Let me find one. Oh yeah, that pulley's coming off no problem. Didn't even need a block of wood. Just needed to get the crankshaft into a... Well, now I got that. I should have backed that nut all the way off, but I just didn't want it to come pop loose and flying off. So,
well, go figure, the camera's rolling and I'm over here goofing around. Well, you guys got time, right? There we go.
there we go. Alright, let's make some progress here. looks like it's probably ready to come off. Not sure why the timing cover is coming with it, but there we go. That was just floating on the journal of the pulley, but there it is. So it's just a matter of flipping the engine back over and pulling the cam and crank out. And this must be an intermediate gear to drive the governor. So that's all there is to it. Everything looks pretty good. There's a little bit of rust on the camshaft here, but that's okay. We can clean that up with a wire wheel and everything should be fine. So we'll flip it over and start getting to work on pulling the crank out. Alright? Okay. I got the intermediate pulley off. That's just one bolt in the center and it'll wiggle out. So that's off. Now I already got the main bearing caps loose. I just got to take them the rest of the way off. But I'm not sure if, and it doesn't look like it, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get the crankshaft out, because I've tried wiggling the camshaft to pull it out, but it won't really come out. So I'm not sure how exactly to do that, unless there are some camshaft cap bolts, and that looks like it could be the case. So basically you'll take that bolt out and that bolt, and the camshaft should slide out as an assembly. From there you'll take these bolts here out, and there's two more, one here and one here, and that should remove the adapter plate for the timing cover, and then I should be able to lift the crank out. So we'll go ahead and do that quick. I'll finish taking off the main bearing caps. Like I said, they're just in here finger tight. So, and the journals look really good on this. The rod journals look really good. The main journals look great. So hopefully what happened was this thing was rebuilt and was never used much, and the engine sat and got a little water in it and locked up. So hopefully the tractor is essentially new in the bottom side. You know, if it weren't for the pistons being locked up, I would have said that they were new too. But what do? You know, motor's locked up and got to tear into it to figure out what's going on. So, but yeah, these journals look perfect. I mean, they're polished. There's no grooves in them. This one's got just one tiny groove, but that'd be number 2 journal. But you know, hopefully I don't have to. Hopefully I don't have to machine it. That would be ideal, but and there's a ton of material left on these main bearings. I mean, I don't know if you can see, but that groove, the oil groove, is really, really deep. And yeah, I'm hoping that might have to give this one kind of a a little knock.
To get it to loosen up here. I gotta set the camera down. Hold on. Having a little trouble with just one hand. Oop. Oop, that ain't working. Let me see if I can adjust it here. You guys are gonna be all over the place now. There, how's that? Come on, there, you. Come on. There we go. Just a matter of wiggling. See, I was trying to do it one-handed so I didn't have to touch this camera all full of grease, but...
So we'll get the it's like a 9/16. Get these camshaft caps off. It should come right out. Now the camshaft feels, the bearing in there feels really tight. Just like that. You want to be careful when you lift these out because you don't want to damage the lobes on the camshaft. And you might have to turn it a little every now and then to get it out. So just kind of go slow. And there we have it. There's your cam. Bearings look great on here. Absolutely great. The lobes are great. They don't have flat spots on top of the lobes. So I'd say we're making great progress. Now we just got to take off these two bolts and these two bolts, and it looks like they got them metal keeper tabs on there that need to be bent back, so we'll go ahead and take care of that. Just use a screwdriver and a hammer and that'll be all we got to do.
Like that. Not much to it. It's kind of a puzzle piece. You know, I've had people time and time again, you know, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And I guess I just tell them, I don't know, I just do it. I don't really think while I'm doing it. I guess it's just kind of a natural thing for me to take stuff apart. But before I forget, I'm going to put these bolts back in. the camshaft cap here. So, I'll just break all these loose. And this front engine cover should pop right off. No problem. And the crankshaft will lift right out. Might have to take him. Let's see here. Get a small pry tool in here. There are some, looks like there's two of them, some pins that will probably make it difficult, so I'm going to grab my hammer again just to get some separation started. And just like that, you hear it pop loose there. Problem is, this thing's so darn dirty. It's coming. Slowly but surely, it's coming. There we go. And that's the front engine cover. Set that by the back cover over there.
Just to be safe, I'm going to put the bolts back in place here, just so I know that where they go. One here, and one here. And all we have to do now is lift the crankshaft out. Voila! There we go. We pretty much got ourselves a bare block. So, the only thing I haven't done is pulled the water jacket cover off this side, but I can do that later. It's just a series of bolts all the way around, nuts and bolts. Probably what, ½ inch. So not a big deal. Now it looks like the main bearing in the middle, I don't know if you can see that, it has a couple of gouges in it, so should probably replace the mains. But there it is, bare block. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I only got a couple hours of sleep, so I'm gonna load the crank up. I'm gonna bring the radiator home so I can flush that, and then yeah, that was really my only project for today. So I'll load the crank up. I already got the pistons in the car, so I can get the wrist pins out of them and measure those. And we'll go from there. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 6. And as always, comment, like, subscribe, ask questions. I'm just happy I got this thing apart finally. So, awesome. I got nothing else. I'm just happy to have it apart. Talk to you guys later.